Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am pleased to rise in the House today to speak on Bill C-26 and the Liberals' plan to expand the Canada Pension Plan. This expansion will take more money from Canadians' paychecks, place more hardships on small businesses, and do very little for both vulnerable citizens. Vulnerable citizens, or seniors, will gain little or nothing from an expanded CPP, as many have not contributed to CPP and therefore are not eligible to receive CPP entitlements. I'd just like to quote from the Fraser Institute. Two of their colleagues, Charles Luman and Hugh McIntyre, stated, "Instead of expanding political energy on debating the CPP expansion in the misguided belief that many middle and upper income Canadians are not saving enough for retirement, the focus of public debate should be on how best to help financially vulnerable seniors." Mr. Speaker, low-income seniors who have contributed an increase in CPP income could trigger a reduction in other government transfers, meaning little or no net increase in retirement income. If this plan goes ahead, the CCP premium rate will start rising in 2019, and the maximum level of pensionable earnings will go up from $54,900 this year to $82,700 in 2025. According to a study by the Fraser Institute, this expansion will take money from Canadians with little benefit in return. Simon Goodrow, chief economist at the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses, stated, "The agreement will have serious negative impacts on workers and the Canadian economy. The announced changes, including increased contributions, may put Canadian wages, hours, and jobs in jeopardy." Mr. Speaker, forcing Canadians to make higher contributions to Canada Pension Plan will take more money from their paychecks. This means that they will have fewer dollars to invest in outside the formal pension systems and in private voluntary savings, such as RRSPs and tax-free savings accounts. This will result in little to no increase in total savings. In addition to making it more difficult for Canadians to contribute to the TFSAs, the Liberal government has slashed contributions limits back to $5,500. Our government raised them because it was such a popular program between youth and seniors. Our Conservative Party was proud to introduce the tax-free savings account that encouraged Canadians to be responsible in savings, and many Canadians have come to rely on these savings accounts when planning for their future. Tax-free savings accounts have provided Canadian families and seniors with secure and flexible saving options that protect their money from being eroded by taxes, Mr. Speaker. The Liberals cut the limits of these savings accounts, and now they are taking even more money from the pockets of Canadians, making it difficult for them to use these accounts. The changes being done by the Liberals, in my view, will make life less affordable for Canadians who are trying to save for their vulnerable years. Mr. Speaker, Canadians should be able to manage their own money with the out-of-control spending we have seen from the Liberals over this past year. They can't trust the Liberal government with their pensions. Vulnerable seniors will gain little or nothing from an expanded CPP. For low-income seniors who have made contributions, an increase in CPP income could trigger a reduction in other government transfers, such as government income supplements. This would mean little or no net increase in their retirement income. Our Conservative Party believes in reasonable, evidence-based policies to help Canadians retire with dignity, which is why the previous government expanded the Guaranteed Income Supplement. The Liberals clearly agree with this approach, since they increased the GIS by 10% in their first budget. The Canada Pension Plan expansion may not effectively target those middle earners at the greatest risk of pension problems. Employers and employees may decide to shrink their workplace pensions over the earning range when CPP is newly expanded so that the workers are not overcovered. Increase in payroll contributions after 2019 may result in downward pressure on wages or employment. Excuse me, Mr. Speaker. Throat was getting dry. This would force Canadians to contribute more to Canada Pension Plan and will reduce their private voluntary savings. Canadians should choose how much they save and spend based on their income and preferred lifestyles. Mr. Speaker, the Canada Pension Plan tax hike will take money from the paychecks of hardworking Canadians, put hundreds of thousands of jobs at risk, and do nothing to help the seniors who need it today. In 2013, the total household net worth of Canadians was $7.7 billion, split almost equally between pension assets, namely CPP, QPP, and RRSPs, and employer pensions, real estate equity, and other financial and non-financial assets. A similar Canada Pension Plan hike scenario studied by the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses in 2015 said it would eliminate 110,000 jobs and permanently lower wages by nearly 1%. Dan Kelly, President and CEO of the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses, stated, 2/3 of small firms say they will have to freeze or cut salaries, and over a third say they will have to reduce hours or jobs in their businesses in response to CPP, QPP hikes. For the above reasons, I will not be supporting this bill, Mr. Speaker. How much time have I got left? 2 minutes? Mr. Speaker, in my travels throughout my riding, and yes, my riding is Yellowhead in Alberta, we have many unemployed people, but we have many still working. And those that are working are the younger generation. People who look at the Canada Pension Plan, and a lot of them don't trust that there will be funds there when they retire. And when you talk to financial planners throughout my area, we are finding that many young people, those even starting in the work job, those that have been there for 10 years, are putting money away for their retirement and understand what it means to pre-plan their own destiny. And Mr. Speaker, our government had brought in the tax-free savings account specifically for people like this, people that wanted to plan their own future, money that they could invest today and know that when they took that money out, when they retired, they would not be paying tax. And the difference between Canada Pension Plan and tax-free savings plans is people can put as much money as they wish to put forward. Our government also at the same time gave them the option to make voluntary contributions to the Canada Pension Plan. And that's what I believe should be in place today and not make mandatory Canada Pension Plan contributions greater. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister.
I've listened to several of the speeches, and it seems they've settled on some statistics that even if you accept them as being the accurate ones, we keep hearing about this 83% that are doing okay, the 83% that are saving privately for their retirement, and that's good. And some of the programs the previous government in place have helped that. We acknowledge that. We haven't changed them. We see that the TFSA for seniors in particular is a responsible and an appropriate way to go forward. But what about the other 17% who don't have the capacity to save, don't have the income to save, don't have the good luck not to have had to dip into their savings before they get to retirement, why can't you focus on what needs to be done for them beyond saying just get a job? Why can't we have a safety net in place for the poorest of the poor who are seniors, enhance the CPP, make sure that the capacity is there to support these people if bad luck comes their way, even if they do all the other things the rest of us are doing to protect our security in our old age? Why can't you focus on that 17%?
The honourable member for Yellowhead.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the honourable member for that question. And I believe the Conservative government, when they were in power, had made the opportunity, as I mentioned earlier, to make voluntary contributions to Canada Pension Plan. And yes, it may not affect those that are having hard times, but I don't believe that taking money from the paychecks of hardworking Canadians today, those having difficulty, is going to help them any more than the old plan with the option to add extra funding if they so wished. There is a responsibility for the individuals to look at their long-term prospects and their future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions or comments? Question commentaire. The honourable member for Barrie, Springwater, Oromadani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's been great to listen to the member's speech and also the member's question just a minute ago, and just to follow up on that question to the honourable member. It's interesting to hear talking about the 17%. I happen to come from the lowest 5% in terms of income society. But my question to the member is, do you agree with the member across the floor who believes that taking more money out of the paychecks of the lowest 17% somehow makes them more successful?
The honourable member for Yellowhead.
I'd like to thank my honourable colleague for that message. And the answer is simply no. It's just going to make it more difficult. And regardless whether it's people working in middle-age incomes, and let's just look at younger people. Student loans, we have lots of people coming out of university today. Taking more money and forcing them to pay more money to Canada Pension Plans will make it harder for them to pay off their student loans. Make it harder for young families, middle-income families, to plan for holidays. Plan for putting money away for their kids' post-secondary education. And it will be difficult for a lot of small businesses to keep people working or create new jobs. So the answer is no.
Question commentaire. Questions or comments? The honourable member for Kitchener-Conestoga.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my colleague for his comments. I just want to underline a point that he made towards the end of the response, and that is the impact on small business. This summer I had the privilege of talking to an accountant who does payroll for a number of small businesses, and when she heard about this proposed increase from 9 to 11-something%, she was very astonished. She said this is going to hurt these small businesses that she works with. Some of them will not be able to hire the person they were hoping to hire. Some of them, in fact, will have to lay someone off. At the very least, Mr. Speaker, this is a huge blow to small and medium-sized business, and we all agree in this House, and our Minister of Small Business repeats it often, small business is the backbone of our Canadian economy. So how will a punitive payroll tax on small business improve the lives of Canadians who are looking for a job? It's fine to get a 33% CPP benefit when you retire, but you had to have the job to be able to do that. So if there's no jobs available, Mr. Speaker, this is not a productive way to go.
Honourable member for Yellowhead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the honourable member for that question. And you are absolutely correct. I look at my own situation and my family. My son-in-law and daughter own a company. They work in the oil patch. They employ anywhere from 65 to 100 people a year. This is going to be a great hardship on them. It means that they probably will not be able to hire 2 additional people. That's 2 additional people in my riding that may not work. But if this was not in place, those people may be hired and may be working. I think we'll see that in many little companies that are employing 50 to 100 people. That's $50,000 to $100,000 a year more that they have to look at. They may be able to take that money, invest it in new equipment that may spur more work, which may require more people to be hired. So it's definitely impacting small businesses, Mr. Speaker.